Most story models promise order, a way to organise chaos, to shape meaning, to guide a character from beginning to end. But not all structures are built to control a story. Some are built to track change. So is structure a tool for plotting events, or a way of mapping what transformation actually costs? In the early 2010s, Dan Harmon took the mythic journey and reduced it to 8 simple steps, not to make it grander, but to make it usable. The result was the story circle. This is the investigation, anatomy of story, a personal journey in search for the hidden patterns beneath all stories. What is the story circle really? A practical guide for building stories, or a psychological pattern that mirrors how people change, often incomplete, often painfully? In this case file, I'll examine how structure moved from myth to market to the human mind, and what happens when the patterns we use to tell stories start shaping our sense of what change is supposed to look like. Every detective knows the truth doesn't live in the pretty versions of a story. It lives in the break, the moment the facade cracks. And Harmon understood that better than any guru before him. While Campbell chased myths across continents, Harmon hunkered down in the writer's room, chain-smoking deadlines and cutting the hero's journey down to its bare, brutal machinery. A circle that looks like an old scar: desire, descent, ordeal, return. Not as cosmic symbolism, but as the psychological grind of being human. Harmon didn't care about legends. He cared about change. Real change, the kind you don't walk away from clean. Every blueprint promises control, but Harmon didn't want control, he wanted survival. He wasn't chasing a hit, he was chasing a handle on his own head. The story circle was his way of mapping chaos. Harmon started as a sketch writer in Milwaukee, too smart, too relentless, too self-critical. He read Campbell, saw himself in every broken hero, and wondered why none of them ever stayed fixed. Late nights, empty coffee cups, scripts torn to shreds and scattered across office floors. The kind of desperation only writers know, when their voices in your head won't line up into anything resembling a coherent story. He wasn't a philosopher or a studio analyst. He was a guy trying to understand why his own scripts kept collapsing halfway through. Act 2 became a graveyard of good intentions, characters wandering aimlessly through plots that disintegrated like wet cardboard. So he did what every writer does at the edge of breakdown. He drew a circle, something that said, start somewhere, change something, come home different. His pen pressed hard against paper, the circle wobbling but complete, not perfect, but whole. That's not a formula, that's a life raft. The kind you cling to when the seas of narrative turn violent and unforgiving. The story circle has 8 beats: you, need, go, search, find, take, return, change. Simple, brutal, inevitable. Like a clock ticking down to transformation. Top half, comfort, bottom half, chaos. Drawn with the precision of someone who spent too much time in both territories. The character leaves what they know, loses what they love, learns what they need, and crawls back to the surface, changed. Sometimes bloodied, sometimes broken, but never the same person who started the journey. Harmon stripped away the mythic fluff. No temples, no gods, just a pulse of transformation. The bare electric wiring of narrative, exposed and dangerous. He used it in Community, Rick and Morty, and his own life. A map that worked even when nothing else did, when networks interfered, when deadlines loomed, when his own demons threatened to derail everything. Watch any Community episode, the circle's there. A character wants something small, loses something big, and comes back wiser, or worse. Jeff Winger starts selfish, falls into chaos, resurfaces with a glimmer of humanity. Rinse, repeat, evolve. Rick and Morty turns it inside out, The same beats, played by a man who can't change and a boy who never stops trying, the genius and the innocent, both trapped in the same relentless cycle, one fighting change, one desperate for it. Harmon made structure personal. The journey wasn't mythic anymore, it was psychological. The labyrinth moved from ancient Crete into the human brain with all its dark corners and trapdoors. The hero wasn't a warrior. He was a neurotic with a deadline, a flawed, broken person staring at a blinking cursor, wondering how to make sense of the mess. And that's the beauty of it. The story circle isn't about conquering dragons, it's about surviving yourself, your doubts, your failures, your tendency to sabotage everything good that comes your way. So what have we learned? Even therapeutic models harden when they're repeated often enough. Once the internet got hold of the story circle, it stopped being a tool for reflection and became another gospel. Threads, tutorials, beat sheets for sale. The personal was made universal, then commercial, then rigid. The raw map of self-discovery turned into another rulebook, another machine, another set of handcuffs designed as freedom. Dan Harmon didn't codify story, he confessed it. His circle works because it's honest. A record of failure looping towards understanding, each step paid for in sleepless nights and personal disasters. If Campbell gave us myth and Vogler gave us marketing, Harmon gave us humanity. The uncomfortable truth that change hurts before it heals. And that's the part that got lost. The circle wasn't meant to make writers feel safe, it was meant to make them face what they'd rather avoid. I'm Terry Dray and this is The Investigation Anatomy of Story. And if you want those all-important case files in your hands, there's a downloadable PDF waiting below. It's your written brief for everything we've covered here and how to use it in your own writing. Details are in the description. What happens next depends on what you do with it. Case file 6 is now closed. Till the next one opens, be seeing you.